my wit and wisdom up. There we go.
Yeah, redirecting you to YouTube. It's doing an ad.
Yep, at the top of my screen, it says live on YouTube.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Steve Sandy. And if it hadn't been for Marty Edwards telling me that he hadn't been notified that we had gone live on YouTube, we wouldn't have a live feed going on tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and just for the heck of it, we'll play the intro again. I mean, come on, guys. You love the intro, I know, right?
My favorite
Oh, we
part.
do. Yeah, I can't wait.
So here we go. We'll do the intro and then we'll get back to where we were. If I can remember where we were. Let's see here. Whoops. And I got to kill that and bring it back up again. Oh my, I tell you, the love or the fun of technology is, just, let's see. Okay, that's good. But that's good too. Now, if it'll just let me share it. There we go. Here we go with the intro, I hope. And we're back. And thank you, everybody, for putting up with us not broadcasting the first 5 minutes of the program. When you go to something and it says share to YouTube, you think it's going to share to YouTube until it doesn't. As I think Dennis probably was aware of that last week.
Yes, our live program was pre-recorded and then put on YouTube. It's not live last week, so technical.
Well, at least it got recorded and we were able to get it out there. But I'm Steve Sandy. As you can see, I'm here with Mr. Dennis Sellers and Marty Edwards, and we're back for another week of fun here. Sorry about the false start there at the beginning, guys. Anyway, it's I think going to be an interesting week here. I've heard about some whatever you call them, non-disclosure agreement announcements this week. One that's going to go live at like 2 a.m. this morning. That's kind of interesting. All I can say, NDA here, it has to do with HomeKit.
And you're good at keeping it because I don't know about Dennis, but I don't know what it is. So
I have no clue what Steve's talking about.
Well, you got to go out to
the broadcast till 2 a.m. We ought to broadcast till 2 a.m. and go live with it.
Well, it's not that exciting, to be honest with you. Hey, I also thought I'd show you something that literally just showed up in the mail, and I immediately put it on my iPhone 7. Okay, does this look like an iPhone 7 Plus?
It does.
Does it look like an old Mac now?
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Slick wraps, right?
Yeah, Slick Wraps come out with this, and I hate to say this, but I don't like the Slick wraps because I can never put them on properly. And sure enough, just after I bought one for $19.84, and I got it, tried putting it on, failed miserably. They started advertising this case, which is actually made by Spigen, and they've applied the nice retro Mac look. And I love this thing already. It is really cool looking.
It does look nice.
Unpaid advertising there for or not for Spigen, for Slick Wraps, but I paid for that out of my own pocket. So
Well, you have to do that sometimes.
sometimes when you see the world's coolest iPhone case, you have to do it. Well, gentlemen, I thought tonight we would have a fun little topic, and that was the question, what new market or product line should Apple pursue in the future? And I know we discussed this a little bit in the our Slack chat room, not the public Slack chat room, but the one that our secret one that nobody's invited to. And anyway, I thought this was kind of a good question there to ask, because Steve Wozniak just came out and said Apple will be around in 2075. He must know things we don't. So. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, that is the 100th anniversary, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I thought it was so cool too. I did a little thing for the AWT news update today that was kind of fun. If I can remember his name, Paul Allen, who used to work, he was one of the original Microsoft guys along with Bill Gates. He came up with, started a new museum in Seattle. And the name of the museum is the Living Computers Museum and Labs. And the idea is that they try to bring in a lot of computers from the past and make them work again, which is pretty cool. And they actually have a working Apple I that anybody can walk up to and play with right now. That was on the podcast this afternoon. It was pretty interesting how they did this. Apparently they got 3 Apple I's, all of which were in, some version of working or not working. One of them, they actually traced back, and they're sure it was the one that Steve Jobs had in his office for many years. And from that, because that device actually had an erasable, programmable ROM chip in it that had BASIC loaded onto it, and it would automatically load that into memory when they'd boot the machine up. They were able to make a copy of that PROM, and they loaded it onto the machine that they're using for their demo Apple I. But very cool. There's a working Apple I in Seattle. You can go there. Anybody can go there, stand at that thing, and work with it. Very, very cool. One of 200 devices hand-built by the early pioneers at Apple, and you can now play with it.
I'd read, when Steve Jobs left Apple, in the 80s, that engineers had been tasked with go clean out his office. And some guy just happened to grab this instead of throwing it away. So came close
Smart man.
Being lost,
Well, I really think there's, kind of a need to keep this history, because it's been changing so quickly. I think a lot of people just say, "Oh, this thing is it's out of date. Let's toss it in the trash or recycle it, do whatever." And I was really kind of surprised with how popular that stupid video I had of the old PowerBook G4. How popular that was. People really, like to be able to see these old machines that are still working, and they're able to actually do something pretty functional. So hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more of those in the future. I'm just waiting for somebody to send me a Mac Plus that works.
Well, it is nice to see, and that video got a lot of views. I think we ought to maybe call that part of our broadcast 3 old guys do old tech,
Yeah.
And so we can work it in some way, I'm sure.
Yeah, the only thing we need is just getting more old machines. And I can imagine by this point, probably working Mac Pluses are starting to get a little expensive. So we'll need for somebody to volunteer to send one to us.
Well, I tell you, this is a possible future show, but I run VMware Fusion on the Mac. And this week I had a copy of Windows 98, Windows 2000, all running on the Mac perfectly.
Now, if you had the original Windows 95, though, that would really be impressive. I don't think it'll run.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm trying to think here. I probably have a virtual machine of it somewhere. I may have to see if I can dig it out. And I actually had some DOS Windows running in VMware, so it's pretty neat.
Oh, wow. No, I wonder if they'll ever come up with like a Commodore 64 or a Atari ST, what was it, the 400?
Oh,
yeah.
400. No, it's the 800.
800. If they can come up with a emulator for that, that would really be cool.
Well, it sounds like something that somebody could do if they really wanted to do it.
Well, I'm going to do it in a couple of weeks if there's any interest, just show how easy it is to run old software. And, with VMware, I can actually load a copy of Mac OS within Mac OS. Apple allows that licensing.
Yeah.
And I can create a Mac computer within VMware from the recovery partition. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, the one thing I've really enjoyed with both Parallels and VMware is they're absolutely great when the next big beta comes out and you really don't want to load it onto something. But very quickly, usually both Parallels and VMware make it possible for you to run those betas, the early betas of, like, the next one will be 10.13, Mac OS 10.13. And it really gives you an opportunity to try the new features without having to, crash your work machine. Not that would happen.
Or to have a second Mac just to use for beta testing. That helps eliminate that ability too.
Yeah, I've got a couple of machines over here. I had to laugh. This was my dad's old MacBook, white MacBook. He had this for quite a few years, and then it went south, and then I decided I'd use it kind of as a test machine, and I installed Chromebook software on it, and you can tell the battery pack doesn't exactly match up with this. The battery pack died, so I had to get a new one. But I did a kind of an article on loading Linux onto this for another website. And it was funny because I couldn't, other than Ubuntu Linux, I couldn't get anything to work properly. Most of the Linux distributions out there just really had problems. And, I'm not one of those people that really has the patience anymore to sit down and troubleshoot everything for hours and hours and hours and try to get it to work. So I went through like 4 or 5 Linux distributions, had one that worked. And my latest is I'm going to try to get something like maybe Lion or Mountain Lion running on it, and we'll see if I can get it back up and running on that.
What year is it? What year MacBook is it?
2000. Trying to remember. I think 2008 or 2009. So it's not too old, but old enough that it doesn't run the latest.
Yeah, well, old in computer years.
Yeah. Sort of like dog years there. But I'll be honest, I did not know that Apple let you run a copy of Mac OS within a virtual machine, but they do. It checks your hardware to see if it's licensed for it, and then you can and play around, mess it up, and just start over, which is quite nice.
Doesn't that mess with the space-time continuum, sort of like
a little bit.
Go back in time, Mac OS 10, running on Mac OS 10. That sounds dangerous to me. So.
It's going to cause a tear in the space-time continuum. We'll all be doomed.
Well, we'll have a good show on parallels versus VMware. One's free, one is not. So, but they both basically do the same thing.
Both of them are quite
Hey.
spendy.
All right, I
Parallels.
thought. Okay, VMware is about $80.
Yeah, and
Fusion.
Parallels is pretty expensive too. Parallels Desktop. The one that's freebie out there is, if I can think of the name of it, VirtualBox.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one that's free. That's right. So my mistake there. Parallels is not free.
I wish it was.
Yeah. I
Except
went
then
with
they wouldn't develop
yeah.
it. So
Well, I went
what are
with
we gonna do?
VMware because I had years of virtual machines already, built and running of various operating systems from Windows 98. I think I'm pretty sure I have a Windows 95 as well. And so I can literally just drag them over to the Mac and run them. There's nothing to it then once I had the VMware. So anyway, I
Oh, that's
digress.
nice.
We didn't even plan on this subject.
Well, yeah, but it was kind of fun anyway. What the heck? That's the great thing about doing these live shows is you never
Yeah.
know where they're going to go. But yeah, I think what we'll do is, and actually going to start with you, Marty, since you pointed out the good thing that we were kind of getting off track there. But what new product or product line or market do you think Apple should really maybe start looking at pursuing?
Well, it's hard to say. Sometimes you think, well, that's not tech related, but then you see them talking about automobiles and the such like. I would be interested in seeing appliances and small appliances. Coffee makers, microwave ovens. I mean, it may sound a little off the wall, but why not? Since they're electronic, plug in and have them all connected, and maybe even washer and dryer, part of HomeKit and everything, just all come together. I'm not saying Apple logo on everything in the house, but there's
Why
some
not?
things, that would be quite nice to think, oh, did I turn off the coffee maker? Or, you had to worry about it. It lets you know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think there's potential there for Apple to go into these products since all of them are computerized.
Yeah, I tell you, I love my, I've got one of the Wemo enabled Mr. Coffee makers. And it's really cool because when the coffee's done brewing, it comes up and I get a notification. Actually, for some strange reason, I get 2 notifications. I think it sends 2 just to make sure you get it. But I not only get that on the iPhone, but it comes up on the Apple Watch as well. And it's handy to be able to get those notifications. If I'm making coffee at a kind of an off normal time, not off the timer, and I go off and I'm doing something, it's nice to get that notification that says, hey, coffee's done. So yeah, I would love to see Apple do it because I think they could do it even better.
Yeah. Even if they just partnered with someone like GE or Kenmore and put some circuitry into a range or refrigerator, they wouldn't have to do the whole thing. I think it'd be nice for your refrigerator to say, send you a message. Temperature has risen to 15 degrees in the freezer, which is too warm for a freezer, or things like that, or getting critically cold, or, anything, your oven's overheating, or, because things can be computerized doesn't necessarily mean we want to, but I think we all like notifications. And as we touched upon a little bit today in our chat room, if you wanted to, you could always enter your recipes and what you cook, and it could help you with shopping lists and things. I know things like that are out there, but I do think if anybody would do it right, it would be Apple. So
I got to agree with that. That's, because you look at what's out there right now, if you take a look at the like Samsung and LG appliances that are available that are, smart appliances. Samsung, of course, wants it to work really well with their ecosystem of smartphones and tablets. And LG, I think you just require a separate app, but it would be so nice to be able to, do something like, I'd love to see like a slow cooker that works with a refrigerator with a robot arm or something like that, where you could just say, here's the recipe, at 11 o'clock in the morning, grab these items out of the refrigerator, chop them up, so you could have a smart food processor as well, and then dump this stuff into the slow cooker and cook it for the rest of the day. That'd be pretty cool.
It would be. Well, even now our range we can set to, start cooking something at a certain time for so long. And I see no reason this one small circuit board couldn't be added to it so I could control it with the iPhone. Whoops, we're not going to be home. Don't start cooking for another 30 minutes. And so I think that's a big market for Apple that they could get into when they exhaust all the others.
So Dennis, what do you got for a kind of a future push for Apple?
Well, I think the appliances idea is interesting. I can see more doing what Marty sort of said, working with another company rather than doing it all themselves. And I mean, they're working with LG for displays to go along with the 2016 MacBook Pro. Maybe LG would be a natural company to team up with, although there have been some problems with the LG displays, although they have them out right now. So I think that would be, I think that's an interesting idea, but I see them more teaming with another company rather than doing it all themselves. But then again, I also think that that's the path they'll take with an automobile, but with Apple having applied with a license for the California, whatever agency it is, you have to apply to test drive self-driving cars. They have applied for a permit. So that's renewed the thought that Apple is indeed working on its own Apple car, Apple automobile. I still think they might team up with somebody else to do that, but that may turn out to be totally wrong on my part. But I think, and again, it sort of all fits together, but I think robotics would be an interesting field to see. Into, because that's predicted to be a big field, and of course I'm looking a little bit further ahead than perhaps just a few months, but I'd love to see them get into robotics. I think that's going to be a very big field and a big area in the years ahead. So I think Apple could do some cool things with robotics.
Absolutely.
I feel a little old-fashioned. You and I are talking about pot roast and cooking. He's talking about the future of electronics and things here.
Well, you see what I want? I want Apple or somebody to make a robotic lawnmower that I can afford just going on my yard, so Dennis doesn't have to do this.
Yeah, can you believe how expensive those things are? I mean, they've been out for a while, robotic lawnmowers, and they're all ridiculously priced. And I think it's one of those things where somebody just needs to say, what we're going to do? We're going to come up with a really good robot lawnmower, and we're going to throw it out there on the market for $500 or something like that. Instead of the $2,500 to $3,000 that they charge for the ones that are out there now. And $500, I'd buy one immediately. I'm sorry, I would go out and get one, in a heartbeat. And at that price, I think that's the thing. Whoever does that, they're going to own the market. It really surprises me that nobody has come up with a Kickstarter program to do that type of thing.
Well, like I say, I'm like you. If it was, $500, I'd probably be willing to gamble on one just for all the time that would save me. But $500 on something as opposed to gambling $3,000 on something, and I really don't know how well that they work, and I have attempted to talk some people out of a review unit, but nobody's bitten so far. But I just don't want to spend that kind of my own money on something that it might work great, but it might not work. I really don't know. So I'd want to test one out before I spend thousands of dollars of my own money.
Yeah. I was going to comment on your comment about the Apple Card too, and the fact that Apple got that permit to do testing. And the funny thing is that you notice that nobody has said anything about actually seeing an Apple car or a different car driving around on the streets. And I honestly think that what Apple is doing with Project Titan is not working on a car, but working on some sort of device that might work with properly equipped cars, the ones that already have the driver assist capability, that you'd have this Apple device and or maybe just an Apple app that would run on your next generation iPhone or something that would allow your car to be autonomous. And I call me weird, but I got to think that's what Project Titan's all about. They'll sell the software. They're not going to necessarily, go into manufacturing cars.
I agree. I mean, that's logistically, that'd be, I mean, even for a company like Apple, it's got, all the cash value of, over $700 billion. Logistically, that's a big challenge. I mean, you talk about making your own chips or your own GPUs, that's one thing, but making your own car from scratch, that would require such investment and such time. I personally don't see it happening myself. I tend to agree more with your scenario.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you take a look at, if I can remember the name of the company, Faraday Future, that's that one company that, they started off with a bang. Where they built it was like a race car. It looked like a Batmobile or something like that. And then they've, at CES this year, they actually unveiled their passenger car that they want to build in North Las Vegas. And the funny thing about it is, I don't think they're going to make it. They were supposed to have a factory pretty much under construction, well underway at this point. And I think they finally may have broken ground for it. The Chinese investors that were into it, I think one of the Chinese companies actually had a major cash flow breakdown. So, it's very, very expensive to get into that. And, it just amazes me that Tesla has done as well as they did. But even there, they bought an old car manufacturing facility that it was in the Bay Area that was abandoned. And they're using that to build their cars. They didn't start from scratch with a, brand new, let's break ground, build a factory. But I digress.
A company like Apple, if they come out with some kind of revolutionary or wild new Mac, say like the Mac Cube was in its day, and it doesn't sell well, that's a financial loser, of course, which will cost the company some profits. But it's nothing like if you built your own car manufacturing line and it didn't take off, no pun intended. That would be really financially disastrous.
Of course, Apple has such a great brand name now that, it might be one of those situations they'd say, oh, we're building cars. We're only going to make 250,000 the first year. And every one of those would be sold out in 20 minutes, but until,
you're right. I don't totally discount the idea. I just think it's a long shot, though, that Apple will produce some auto assembly line.
Yeah, there's a lot of difference between making these little guys, and doing something like building a car, and it's crazy. Well, I was gonna, speaking of robotics, that's kind of the direction I was going to go, in terms of where I think Apple may go down the road, or a place Apple should consider possibly going down the road. And this is kind of coming from personal experiences. And I've got two parents who are quite elderly, in their late 80s. Both of them have some cognitive issues, not remembering things, not knowing what's going on, not knowing how to get from point A to point B in a building that they've, a facility where they've lived now for, a year and a half. And there is a huge and growing population of elderly. We're all living longer. Medicine has done a lot. I think people are starting to be aware of the dietary issues that need to be taken care of as well. And I think, Apple, if they really wanted to continue into the future, they really ought to look at products that would help out the senior market. And I'm talking about people who, things like maybe, right now we've got Siri, but Siri really takes a lot of work if you want to get it, look at it that way. You have to, whoops, and I just dropped my iPhone. But you have to have something like an iPhone or a Mac and know how to use it before you can really use Siri. And you have to phrase things a certain way for Siri, do things like that. What would be great is if Apple had devices that you could put into a senior's home that would be able to assist them without them having to do anything. In other words, it would come up and it would remind them, oh, hey, it's 8 a.m. Have you taken your pills yet today? And even better would be something, you were talking about robotics, being able to have robots that could actually assist somebody, and say, oh, you've got a doctor's appointment in 15 minutes. Let's get ready and then come with me and I'll guide you to the doctor's office and I'll wait for you there. And be able to have that type of thing that's helpful. Not every elderly person has, a family or, somebody who cares that will take those people to a doctor's appointment or, to some place like that. So being able to have some sort of device that could help them without them needing to specifically tell it, to have this device anticipate their needs and be able to say, oh, I know you've got a doctor's appointment, let me take you there. That would be fantastic. Right out of the box, this thing should be able to maybe carry on a conversation with an elderly person, just say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm your robot. What's your name? How old are you? What time do you like to wake up? Or any things you like to do? Would you like me to help clean your house? And ask questions like that. And then you could have other input, things like appointments with the doctor or prescription amounts and times, which pills I need to take, added by other people like the doctors or the family or pharmacist or whatever. And maybe even have it be able to take pills and, get them ready for that person to take. I think earlier today, Marty brought up a good point and said, these devices could learn what your food preferences are and the times you eat. And he says, as you grow older, carry that over to your medical needs and the devices you know about. So, this would be wonderful to be able to have something that could help out the elderly. I know in Japan, that's one of the big things that you see companies like Sony doing. That was the idea behind the Sony Asimo robot, was to have a small robotic assistant. But it's not really there yet. It's not totally autonomous. It can't just learn. And I think that's where Apple really needs to get in, maybe partner or buy Sony and, get their robot technology and then put the brains of some AI into that device. And then you've got a perfect solution.
I just think we face sort of and everybody has to forgive me, I'm a little under the weather. My voice comes and goes, but we face this. Both of my parents are gone, but I know my wife, Laura, faces the same thing with her parents. They still live home. They have a person that comes and helps them during the day, but that person leaves like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So my wife has a timer set on her phone to call and remind them to take their medicine at certain times. And she doesn't mind doing that. Obviously, they're her parents and she loves them. But like if we're on vacation, you might be in the middle of something where, oh, wait, on phone's beeping, or I don't know, at a show or doing some activity. You're like, well, okay, wait, I got to stop this and call or remind them, even though it's family, so you don't mind that. If you did have something like you're talking about that could do it in case a family member wasn't available to do it or couldn't do it at a certain time, that would be a great thing. Or, have their pills. They could even contact the pharmacy or their doctor if their pills or medicine is running low, so they can get it refilled rather than occasionally my wife will go over and be out of certain medicine. So you got to call the pharmacy, and how quickly can you get it refilled or that kind of thing. So if it was all a little more automated, that would be a great thing for like you say, for elderly people and sick people of all ages even.
Yeah, and then couple that with something like, even being able to see, what they like to eat and do that type of thing, and say, oh, you seem to be getting low on bread, milk, eggs. Would you like me to order some for you? There's plenty of these online grocery systems nowadays. I noticed our local chain now has something where you can you either do it online, or you can call them up and say, I need the following things, and they'll deliver them to your house. Well, to be able to have that same capability built into this device where it anticipates, oh, you seem to be getting low on bread. I'll make sure we get some tomorrow. Now, the biggest problem with a lot of those services nowadays is that they're really quite expensive. They charge like $10 for every delivery. And they need to be more, I hate to say it, but they need to be more Amazon-like in that respect. If somebody is continually working with them, continually getting groceries, work up a free delivery system. Maybe add just a little bit of cost to the price of the groceries, but or let them have a Prime membership to your store so they can get something like that. So, but I think that would really be cool.
Well, I'm between you two. Steve has both parents. Dennis has neither, and I have one left, my mother. Yeah. And she lives here with us. And so I use Apple technology as much as I can. I have reminders every morning and evening to give her medicine and, various things like that to check her blood pressure. And every once in a while, if I'm outside, I'll, put it off for a moment. I'll say, remind me in 1 hour. I'll go inside and she'll say, you need to give me my medicine. So he reminds me. And so, so I'm using as much as I can, but it would be nice to have something even more automated that could do, or, like people think, oh, there's no privacy, but she's very aware of this. I have cameras, as y'all have seen around the house, and I have one more or less pointed toward where my mother sits normally. And I can just see a little bit of her, like her head and maybe her forearm. And I can see if she's okay or has fallen in the floor and things like that. So if I'm not here and I can leave her alone, I can check. But it'd be nice to have something that would detect sudden movement or something anomalous like that, and message me on the phone like, your mother seems to be in the floor. You need to check right now. I think it'll get there with time.
Yeah, I just hope that Apple has something, in the, maybe they can call it Elder Kit, since they seem to have all of these other Home Kit and, Car Kit and all the rest of these frameworks. But that'd be great. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dennis.
Senior Care by Apple or something.
Yeah.
Well, and all this could tie in together. I mean, I'm like I said, I do like Marty's idea of appliances that work even with HomeKit. But if you had your own iRobot, no, sorry, that's copyrighted, isn't it? Never mind. Whether you were elder or for the elderly, if they had coffee in the morning, it could kick their coffee on at the time they normally get up. But it can also do the same for. Well, I guess technically I am elderly, even though I don't think of but those who aren't as elderly as some others, I don't need a whole lot of help yet, but the day will come. But for any of us, elderly, it can learn our habits and facilitate and make life a little easier for all of us, not just the elderly, but the appliance and the robots could all tie in together into a expanded Apple ecosystem.
Well, I think the underlying technology is really artificial intelligence. Siri does a great job, but for it to understand me, I really have to enunciate. And I can't tell it, but I guess people listen probably know I do have somewhat of a Southern accent. And Siri just wants to balk at it, a lot of times. I have to proofread her. It's embarrassing what I text, definitely send it. So I really have to enunciate and speak unnaturally to be able to get Siri to most of the time understand. But, I think that's a big underlying problem is good voice recognition and artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Now, I do think Siri's gotten smarter. The first times I ever tried using Siri, I tend to have a little bit of a Southern accent as well, growing up in Tennessee, but it seemed like every third word Siri misunderstood what I was trying to say. But these days it does much better. Now, I still have to do like you, enunciate clearly and proofread my text and that kind of thing. But I think it's gotten better.
I agree. It has. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what they always said that they taught it, what do they call it, regional accents or regional dialects. And I think they need to really focus on that a lot more. A lot of their market, of course, is in the US. And that's probably a good place to start. Go around and really focus on making sure that regardless of how you speak, how quickly you speak, how often you say, do that type of thing. How, just make sure that it really understands what a person is saying. If they can do that, then you can extend it to those, millions of other markets out there. The Chinese market,
Right.
They've got, not only different versions of Chinese, but of course, the same regional dialects. And, it just kind of surprises me. Maybe we'll find out something at WWDC 2017, but really kind of surprises me that they haven't put more effort into really improving the speech recognition.
I think they've worked maybe more than we realize because, around here, plural YOU is y'all. And sometimes text, maybe my brother and his family, I say, I'll see y'all tonight. And Siri actually put YA apostrophe LL. So I knew that they're working on it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's proper English. You, we, y'all. And it got it.
Does it have the plural of that? All y'all?
Yeah.
That's Texan.
Yeah.
Words.
But I was very impressed that Siri actually put YA apostrophe LL for you all or y'all.
That's it. That is impressive.
And so
it seems to me, and maybe it's just my imagination, but it seems to me that Siri has, and I guess it's the predictive text, but it seems like it's gotten better, or maybe it remembers, so to speak, some of the phrases I tend to use frequently, because I know if I'm texting somebody else, it'll like almost auto complete 3 or 4 words. I'm like, sometimes it's not what I meant to say, but a lot of times it's like, okay, that's what I was going to, that's what I was going to enter in or type in or whatever. So it seems like iOS and Siri have gotten better about knowing what I'm trying to express.
I thought, well, maybe I can give a quick demo here, but here's Siri right now. How are y'all doing? I don't know if you can see it or not. It's probably not going to focus quite. Let me see.
Yeah, there we go.
There we are.
Yeah.
How are y'all doing?
And then I think I said quite, so.
Yeah.
I don't know that came in, but it got y'all just fine.
That is cool. I got to see if I can pick up my iPhone here, because I was going to, I think at this point, if speaking of which, if you have any, whoops, see if I can grab this here. If you have any quick demos you guys want to do.
I guess that was mine.
Okay, well, I can do one here. I'll put on my glasses so I can see all of the screen more probably. Something I've been intended to show folks for a while, but it's one of my favorite Mac apps. It's Default Folder by St. Clair Software, and I've been using it for years now, and I find it just invaluable for me. So I'll demonstrate it here real quickly. So desktop 1, share screen. Okay, so go over here, and this is some things I'm working on for Apple World today and other sites. But one thing, what Default Folder does is expand the open and the open dialog and everything that is built into the Mac OS. So like you can see it over here to the side. Here's all the additions that you get with the default folder. This is the utility menu. You click it and you can see that you can open in a Finder a new folder. You can access files and rename them, all kinds of things like that. And this is the computer menu, so you can instantly click it and you can go to your desktop or your home folder and then drill down to other applications in it. This is the favorite menu. You can access all the things in your favorite menu on the Mac: documents, downloads, music, pictures, Dropbox, etc. Then there's the recent folder menu. Again, you can do the same thing. It offers access to all the recently opened folders, and then you can drill down into them. Then there's the recent file menu, and no drilling down here, but it will show X number of recent files that you've opened in a particular app, in this case, Pages. And finally, there's the Finder menu. I don't have any windows open in the Finder now, but other than this one to access. But I just find it great for renaming folders, for saving files and everything. Like I say, I've done it for years, and it's one of those companies that I've said that one of those apps, I always thought it'd be great if Apple would scoop it up and build it into Mac OS itself. But it is one of those apps that I use continually throughout the day, and it's a great time saver for me.
Very cool. Great. Well, now I'm going to have to buy some more software.
One new thing came out today that I can demo real quick. Shouldn't take but a moment. If you want me to, unless you've got something here.
Oh, go for it.
All right. I'll just make sure I can share this. I'm already headed up in QuickTime. All right. I guess you can see my iPhone screen there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you use Google Maps, and a lot of people do, I just put in, like, I have directions ready to go, say, to Cupertino, California, ready whenever they invite me to a keynote to cover. So I have it ready and always in there. But this just came out today. You go back to your widget screen, and you see my Major League Baseball widget there. But this just came out today that for Google Maps, they've added directions. And so now that is a widget. And that's a town I had there earlier. I was going to Urbanette, Arkansas, and close to my wife's family. And there's the directions. If I want to, I'll just say I'm going to start this journey right here of going. But now it has a widget on the home screen, and this is new today, that it makes it, I think, a little bit easier just to go to your widgets and tap and get right back to your map, and it will give you turn-by-turn directions from the actual widget. So I find that very, very useful. Though I haven't used it yet. I don't mind. That is the road I live. I live in the country, Possum Trot Road. And so, but
we're on Animal Streets. I'm on Quail Place.
Well, there's an old school. There's a one-room school on this road called Possum Trot School. My mother actually went to it. And so,
cool.
Possum.
I see Bunnell Crossing Road there. David Bunnell was one of the early Mac engineers.
Yes, I remember that name. That's a very common name in this area. But it gives you turn by turn from the widget, and I can just go through the various things of directions here, and or tap on it and quickly get back to the map. So I find widgets more and more useful. I'll just clear that out right there. But
that is really cool. And that just came out today?
That just came out in a Google Maps update today. Let's see, I'm no longer screen sharing, so I'll check on the app update. And so I thought that might be timely. Yep, Google Maps, what's new today? Get turn-by-turn navigation right on your lock screen, even on your lock screen, with new directions widget. So it'll work on your lock screen.
Okay, I'm going to show you a robot. Since we were talking about robots, I just got this today. This is the serial number 2 of a, have you guys heard of the DJI Osmo? It's from the people who make those great flying drones, the DJI drones. And what the DJI Osmo is a gimbal mount for an iPhone or for like a GoPro camera. And what it does is it basically, it's intelligent. It knows to, keep everything steady, as even if you're moving, you're running or something like that, it keeps everything perfectly still. Well, this company, called GoBot is the name of it. They're out of Shenzhen, China, I believe. And they have this neat thing called the Rigiet. And like I said, this is a early prototype, but as you can see, I'm moving my wrist back and forth, whoops. And this thing is, I guess it would work better if I got back here. You notice how it's keeping that perfectly level?
No, that's pretty neat.
It has a small joystick built into this thing, so you can, tilt it up or down. It will also go side to side, panning like this. So, filming video, it's going to be absolutely great. The other cool thing about it is, and, like I can even do this type of thing with it, but the other cool thing about this is that it works with an app, and you can actually point it at something, tap on something or draw a little box around it, and it will follow that thing automatically.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive. Now, the thing is that these guys are looking at getting this out to the market for a ridiculously low amount. I think it's going to be like $139. The cheapest version of the DJI Osmo right now is like $299. And so I think these guys have a good opportunity to take a lot of the market if they want to. It's just pretty amazing. I was having so much fun with it today. You can hold it upside down. So I was doing a cat's eye view video around the house and see what it's like walking around near the floor. But pretty cool device. Like I said, it just amazes me how you can do that type of thing. Oh, one other thing it'll do is it will take 5 quick photos or more, depending on what kind of panorama you want to do. And it will meld those all into a panorama automatically. So you don't need to do the, make sure you're moving slow enough, with your iPhone to get the proper panorama. It'll actually do it for you. You see it just flipping back and forth and taking pictures and glues that stuff together to you for you. So couple little quirks like the photos. One of them had a Chinese file name on it, which was a little bit weird, but it's still not out. This is a early prototype, and I am just really impressed with it. So big thumbs up to these guys, and I'll have a full review here shortly.
Did you say it was serial number 2?
Yeah. I brought it up, and it was when it did a whatever pairing with my iPhone, it showed the serial number, and I went, number 2? Okay. But this is from a group of or a PR firm that's out of China, and they've sent me some amazing things. Some things didn't work all that great. This is impressive. Really, really well done. And there, I just shut it off. I killed it.
I don't think we touched upon, but for anyone who runs the betas, there was betas across the board today.
Yeah, good point. They really sent them out there. All the developer betas, which means that the public betas are probably out, tomorrow?
Probably.
Yeah, we can only hope. The sad thing is I had to take my cool case off to be able to get that into the Rigiet, or however you pronounce that. So I'll have to write that up in my review. Well, I think we've come to the end of another close to an hour here. Anything else you guys want to cover real quick, or?
No, we're
Rumor.
just waiting with bated breath for that 2 o'clock announcement you've been telling us about.
I don't even know if I can
Oh.
sleep or not.
Oh, it's not that exciting. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool, but you know, it does have something to do with HomeKit, but you know, I wouldn't stay up for it.
Well,
And
okay.
Dennis,
All right, then we'll go.
yeah,
Well,
Dennis, I understand you're doing a vacation here.
Yeah. So I guess it'll just be you and Marty next week. My wife, daughter, and I are going to check the Grand Canyon and going to the Grand Canyon and some other things down in that neck of the woods. So I'll be on the road next week.
Well, enjoy your trip. I think
I'm
you
sure I
know,
will.
if anybody deserves a vacation, it's you.
I won't argue with that.
Yeah, we'll have to take the whip to Marty and go, Marty, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can't keep up with Dennis's production. That's for sure.
Dennis, I think, is probably the hardest working blogger in the Mac, you know, the Apple world right now. He's pretty amazing.
I'm the Stephen King of Mac bloggers. As far as
That's almost scary to think about.
I was going to say, just don't get hit by a car.
Yeah.
been there and done that, so that's already taken care of. So,
You have?
Yeah, but that's a story for another day. So
Okay, that's one for the next episode.
has nothing to do with Apple technology, though. So.
Oh man, that I can't wait to hear this story. Well, everybody, once again, thank you for joining us for another. This is episode 4 of the AWT TV show, and we enjoy doing this. It's kind of good time for us because we all get together and sit here and just chat. And I hope you guys, everybody who's in the audience enjoys it as much as we do. And if you do, give us a like on good old YouTube, and also make sure that you tell your friends about it. And we'll see if we can build up the audience. We're getting a lot of views of the show. Not a lot of live views, but a lot of views after the fact on YouTube. So we appreciate every view.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And until next week, have a great week. And now I have to share the screen here so I can do the outro intro here again. And here we go.